Hey, good evening. How we doing this evening? This is just some kind of random stream. I just wanted to get on, no offense to anyone else, my co-host particularly, and just vent on things about the whole Epstein Files thing, right? Um, Listen, I just thinking about these things over the past day or two, listening to some podcasts and seeing all the posts on social media. My fear is that people that prescribe or subscribe to one particular of the two major parties in this country are going to get so tied up in the other side is worse than our side that we'll lose sight of what the truth is. Not to mention the fact that maybe, over the fight to even and the posturing and the denigrating of certain people like Thomas Massey or MTG or some others, Rokahana, that have pushed to get these released, that they've scrubbed them. There's so many things going through my head right now, right? And so this is just like cathartic for me, or therapeutic, you might say, for me to just get on here and kind of give my thoughts. I don't know how long this episode's going to go. I just thinking about this situation and seeing the buildup from people, right? Whether they be these people who are paid, you know, to uh, to say stupid stuff by whatever political party, right? Whatever these, you see them. Oh God, what's her name? Um, I'm trying to think now. Some of the big, like, like the cat turds and I can't remember the gal's name now. This bugs me to no end. Um that they just get on and they say the dumbest shit, right? They just say the dumbest things, and you're supposed to, and then people are like, yeah, they'll kind of get behind it. I'm trying to think of this girl. Oh, Laura Loomer is another one, right? I mean, the people who are celebrating Trump signing this bill or telling the Republicans to sign it, right? The House Republicans to sign the bill. Now he wants to take this, and these people, like the Laura Loomers and the cat turds and everything, want to turn this into a Trump victory, right? So you have those people on the Republican side. Of course, you have the people on the Democrat side who also want to say ridiculous things. And I've got a video of Jasmine Crockett that I'll play on something really dumb that she did. And of course, she didn't back down from it. She's not going to back down from that. She's going to, say whatever and try to be this and act like, she's just so smart and use the excuse, well, I didn't have that much time, then maybe you should shut your mouth or not say the things until you've researched it. But with, I was listening to America This Week with Matt Taibbi and Walter Kern. And Matt Taibbi stated a couple times, this is becoming like the Russiagate thing, right? People just running out, running their mouths, saying things that are patently false, things that are misleading, making this a divisive issue, party against party. And they also brought up COVID. Like now it's patent, it's crystal clear that it came from a lab in China, heavily funded by the US, and just happened to be a lab in Wuhan, China, right? And those things are patently clear, but where's the uproar now, right? For the most part, the uproar is gone. Now we have the Epstein Files. And this is an important issue, right? Do I think we're going to get the facts that we need to get? No, I don't think we're going to get the facts that we need to get. Are we going to get the truth, the real truth? No, because I feel like this is going to be part of a play, right? It's this political play. Both sides are going to finger point, and we lose sight of what is important, and that is people in the intelligence agencies. Clear, I don't know. I don't want to go out and just say for 100% fact that Israel is involved in this. Is there a possibility? Absolutely. Is it a better possibility that he's just working with the CIA? Absolutely. Or just American intelligence agencies, right? That he was clearly working with them. And it seems to be just a big blackmail ring. And so you submit yourself to Epstein and you do something awful, and then you're fine. You're fine to stay in that seat of power. You're in the upper echelons, right? As long as you don't go rogue, you're fine, right? So you just almost have to submit yourself to these people and the evil that they perpetrate. And I think a more Americans should be disgusted by that than particular people in a particular party. Now, there are people that say, I don't really care what party they're from. We just need justice, right? Do I think we're going to see justice out of this? No. I think a lot of things are going to be scrubbed. I think, again, this is going to be a tug of war between people and both of the major parties, pointing fingers, and they're going to get distracted by it. And then God knows what else is going to go on in the background, because they've stretched this out, right? They've stretched it out. Now, this is not taking anything away from Thomas Massey and everything he's done to get this out there. To be fair, Trump could have just looked at the Justice Department and said, release him. He didn't want to. The Speaker of the House still says this is a threat to national security. And, it's at this moment in time, regardless of what party you belong to or that you seemingly have sworn your loyalty to, it's time to just drop them. It's time to back away from both of these major parties and just get away from. Don't give them your money. Don't give them the time of day. Don't go out and regurgitate all the stupid things they say and get on, don't listen to them and their words and then get on Facebook or X and be like, yeah, got you now. Because you don't got anything. You have hopes that you're going to nail the other side. Now, I think those people may be a minority in the grand scheme of things, right? Most of those people, a lot of other people may be in the majority. They just want to see what's in those files. But again, I think a lot of it's been scrubbed. I think the big players, you had the guy, Larry Summers. He's, resigned from all of his posts at Harvard and banks and everything else. But a lot of the others, nothing's going to happen to them. Should something happen to them? Yes, they should be buried under the prison. But is something going to happen? No. I believe if the people responsible who are tied to Epstein, whether they were into this whole pedophilia, diddling kids, whatever, or if they just went along and got money from him so they could retain their power and just be silent and not speak out, I think those people should all be gone too. I don't care at this point, but I think the majority of these people in Washington, D.C. would be gone. I've heard people say this could make the whole, if we got all the info, right? This thing would the whole, a lot of government agencies and things would collapse. And maybe this is me being a little bit of a catastrophist or whatever. That doesn't bother me, right? It doesn't bother me that some agencies or some big names that some people really think highly of would face prison time or what have you, right? I don't care about that. I just In all honesty, I want people who do these things to kids to lose everything. I don't care if, they're just turned out and they're homeless, living in the street. I don't care. I just want something to happen to them, and I just don't see that happening. There have been so many things lately where Dr. Fauci comes to mind, right? And people of his ilk should have been in prison. Nothing. Right? Nothing happened. Hell, they get pay raises, they get books written about them, they get documentaries written about them, and all the high praises, but nothing happens to these folks, right? Nothing good happens to them. Nothing. Let me take it back. Nothing that would be good for us happens to them. Like them going to prison for the rest of their lives, losing everything they have. It doesn't happen. Who knows how deep this goes? All we know is that from witness statements, from the victim statements, these things are beyond reprehensible. They are, these are just the worst of the worst people. Having 2 kids and 2 grandkids, you don't wish anything good for these people. You wish the most horrible, hellish things to happen to them. Even if they didn't, like I said, even if they didn't diddle kids, just the silence and asking for money. Knowing what this person does, knowing what these people do, you should wish nothing but the most foul of deeds upon them. And again, people are trapped in their left-right paradigm, and they want to push it at Trump, or they want to push it at Biden, or they want to push it at Republicans, push it at Democrats. And I'm just saying there's a whole lot on both sides that should face a thunderous justice. Something that is so powerful that it shakes the core of other evil people, right? But all these people are so high up the ladder. Would they dare turn in their own? Would they dare cannibalize their own, that they might lose everything? And the answer is patently no. Absolutely no, they won't do that. They won't do it. They like where they're at. They like the seat that they have. They like that power. They like that money. They're not going to suddenly, speak their sins and ask for forgiveness. No, that does not. If you're going to stay silent about the power players within the intelligence agencies that work closely with these people, you're not gonna. I don't see. I just don't see these people ever going like, yeah, we really are a piece of crap. And what Voodoo Queen says right here is absolutely correct. Just covering it up should be punished. Yes, absolutely. People that just, here's the thing. The left's little mantra a few years ago, and they stated a lot. Silence is violence, right? And it's a little bit of it's always like that. They try to tie it to racism, or that like verbal violence or something. Not saying it's something, it's just being racist, and it's up in and of itself. Well, these people, their silence could technically be violence perpetrated in sexual assaults or rapes of underage girls or boys. That silence is kind of violent. Wherein with them not saying anything and no one standing up to these horrible tragedies were just perpetrated. These horrible things are perpetrated on a lot of innocent souls. And yes, I think you're the most evil people that I could ever think of. And I can't think of her name. So give me a moment. I'm gonna look this gal up. There was a senator who was receiving text from Epstein while in a hearing. Stacey Plaskett, where he was just literally telling her, he was giving her questions to ask during a hearing. Now she is a non-voting member. I'm sorry, she's a is she? I want to say no, she's in the House. I'm sorry, not the Senate. My bad. But this congresswoman who was receiving texts and asking asking what question, or he was feeding her questions. And then they brought up some name, Rona something. She didn't know if it was like an acronym or if this was real. She had no idea. She literally texted like, "Hurry up! It's about my time." And it's like, Jesus. The Washington Post had a video on this gal, and they kind of did the timeline about how she was doing, the timeline of the text along with the video. And I don't know if I can find it or not. But I'm gonna do a search for it. Like I said, this was so random that and I don't know if I'll be able to find the video right off the top of my head, or right off the yeah, it doesn't. I don't see. Oh my God! Now they want to. Yeah, they want me. Go straight to the Washington Post site, and you get stuck behind a paywall. But anyway, they had a very nice timeline video of, like, as she was talking, it was like popping up the text messages, so you could tell that he's coaching her with questions. Now, the thing is, some people might want to, in the government, especially, like, he was not an intelligence asset. I just wonder how many other people besides the congressional aides could text a sitting member of the House during a hearing with questions and not go, why is this rando person, especially someone of Epstein's ilk, texting a congressional member during a hearing? We've got to look into this, right? And normal people couldn't do that. Intelligence agencies are going to want to know what's up. Nothing. Again, the information got released, and nothing happened to her. Something should happen to her. And I believe she used to be on the board helping, help people get different tax credits and all these other things. And she sat on this board until just a few months before Epstein got all his stuff, these favorable things, like tax shelters and stuff like that. Something to that effect. She sat on the board with like economic development and all this stuff. So basically she helped him out. And then, a few months after she quit her job, Epstein is right in there. So it's interesting, and why something doesn't happen to this person, I'll never know. But let me pull up this Jasmine Crockett video, because she is something else. I'm gonna okay, let me pause the video real quick. I will maximize the screen. Hopefully this isn't blaringly loud. All right, video. This is a 5-minute video. It's somewhere in here. She's going to get asked about it. It's really hard to listen to this woman and not want to, I don't know, stab out your own eardrums. But here's this video.
Democrat who's been on defense over Jeffrey Epstein is Stacey Plaskett. She represents the Virgin Islands. She was texting with Jeffrey Epstein the day of Michael Cohen's hearing. Her questions pretty closely followed the text messages between the two of them to ask about Rona Graff, Trump's longtime assistant. You were defending her today, or in recent days, yesterday, and you talked about Republicans taking money from a Jeffrey Epstein. Here's what you said.
Who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio.
You mentioned Lee Zeldin there. He's now a cabinet secretary. He responded and said it was actually Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a doctor that doesn't have any relation to the convicted sex trafficker. Unfortunate for that doctor, but that is who donated to a prior campaign of his. Do you want to correct the record on the people that
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein. Just so that people understand, when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to...
Okay, first of all, first of all, I never said the Jeffrey. Come on. The insinuation was there, right? The insinuation was there. She knew exactly what she did. These people drive me nuts. They do this and they won't apologize, right? Because they want their 15 minutes of fame. So she does dumb shit like this. And then she's like, but I'll continue the video because she's just gaslighting people, but she's going to say some more dumb shit here in a minute, right? Here we go.
Spring this on us in real time. I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled, and that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein, so at least I wasn't trying to mislead people. Now, have I dug in to find...
She wasn't trying to mislead people. See, these people, Jesus. These people, why does anyone vote for people like this? Clearly lying, but it's because at least they're not Republicans. It's just lady. I don't even gonna call her a lady. Hey, evil queen of lies. Like, are you out of your freaking mind right now? So full of it. But she's playing a typical politician's game, right? Typical politician's game where she's gonna be like, I didn't do nothing wrong. I didn't do nothing wrong. Yeah, Turd Burglar's right. She is delusional. Jesus, these people make me sick. But anyway, let's oh, whoa. That's not what I want. Why does that happen? There we go. Let's get that screen back to where it's supposed to be. I will continue on with the stupidity here.
Find out who this doctor is. I have not. So I will trust and take what he says is that it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein, but I was not attempting to mislead anybody. I literally had maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
Yeah, but people might see that and say, well, you're trying to make it sound like he took money from
I did not know.
A registered sex offender.
No, but I literally did not know. When you search FEC files, and that's...
You did not know, but you decided to come out and say it anyway. Didn't know, but I'm still going to run my fat trap and try to sling mud. And when I started this whole live stream, this is what I was talking about right here. That people, the political parties will just rush out and say things about the opposing side and get a whole bunch of mindless sheep fighting over whose party had more dealings with Jeffrey Epstein, trying to one-up each other. And people like Jasmine crock of shit. I'll just say it bluntly here, are not helping. And then she wants to turn around like, I didn't mislead anybody. I was just saying stuff. Lady, stop freaking lying. But they can't help themselves. This is their career. This is how she got to where she's at. It's a big fat liar, right? So let me play a little bit more here.
What I had my team to do, I texted them and I said, listen, we're going up. They are saying that she took donations.
Right, but someone might say, well, your team should have done the homework to make sure it wasn't the convicted sex trafficker.
Within 20 minutes, you could not find that out, not from just doing a quick search on FEC. So number one, I made sure that I was clear that it was a Jeffrey Epstein, but I never said that it was specifically that Jeffrey Epstein.
All right, I'm going to stop it there because I want to punch my computer screen. What a jackass, right? But again, going back to the way I started off this rando live stream that I'm doing, I said that, this is my fear. Now, people are going to latch on. They're not going to see that interview. They're going to ignore it. And they're going to make an excuse. Like, she only had 20 minutes. Then don't open your fat trap and say things that are wrong or misleading. How about you don't do it? You just shut your cake hole and take a knee, right? If you have relevant factual information, by all means, go out and put them on blast. If Republicans were that tied and they're taking campaign donations, then go blast them. But also, notice how she only named Republicans. She never names any Democrats, right? So this is the game. She is perfect at the race baiting. She's perfect at all this racism and all the loony lefty keywords that get thrown out there. She's only going to point the finger at the other party. And unfortunately, she will bring people along with her to ride along on the stupid tracks, right? Now, Republicans have been doing things like this as well. And they should also be thumped in the head, right? They should also be thumped if they're just going to point fingers at Democrats. No, we want names of all people involved, right? We want all the names. We're not going to get them. And I know that seems rather pessimistic of me to say, but there's no way we're going to get all the names. There's no way on God's green earth we are ever going to know the depth and depravity and all the names of the people involved in this intelligence blackmail scheme. Never. Maybe 30 years down the road, 20 years down the road, 10 years down the road, when everyone's forgotten about it, right? Because there's going to be something new that's going to catch the public's eye, and this is going to fade into the ether. And then more things will come out when people just aren't interested anymore, except some really good journalists or some alternative media types. And maybe some people will hang on to this and try, but for the most part, a lot of the public's going to be like, that's yesterday's stuff. Who cares now? We're on to other things that we can point fingers and get ourselves all wrapped up in. And again, I don't, it's one of those, I don't know if let me see if I can find, I hope I save this. I really do. I'm not sure, because you want to talk about the other side of the aisle and their absolute insanity. Oh, man. Let me see if I can look it up. I sent it in a text to someone, and I want to see if I can find. I should be able to find the name of the group so I can. Okay. Now let me look up this group, and then I will show you this this post on Facebook, which just absolutely blew me away. And I thought someone actually posted this and seemingly are proud of it. I don't know. I believe I found this yesterday, so I have got some scrolling to do. But I will find the post here soon enough, and then I'll make you all's head hurt just as much as mine. All right, we should be getting close here, I would hope. Because, all right, if I look up her name, maybe it'll be a quicker. It might be a quicker thing. Okay, here it is. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on my screen. Let me share it here. And then you all's head can hurt just as much as mine. I'll blow up the screen. You still may not be able to read it very well, but I'll read it for you. So your head can hurt like mine does. I see the truth now of what happened. Trump played his poker hand. Trump and Elon never had a falling out. This was all an orchestrated plan with Elon and Trump. It was the only way to get the Democrats to vote. Yes, on the Epstein files, that they had to make this. They had to do this to make everyone believe Trump was in the files. Now Trump has them by the balls. They are all going to prison and their assets will be seized. It's an executive order he signed in the first term. Absolutely brilliant. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Well played. Dude, what is that? Right? So that's what I'm talking about. Both sides, people who are in both political parties, some of them are playing this exact stupid game. And this is my fear, that we're going to resort to this instead of trying to find out what exactly is going on. Who exactly was involved? The real truth. So are we going to, there are people out there that are going to be doing, I don't want to ever make it sound like no one is out there doing this. I mean, again, we have Matt Taibbi and Walter Kern out there right now, and they're going through all the files. Like, I think Matt Taibbi said on the show the other day that he opened up 894 files, and they're going through the information, right? And I trust people like Matt Taibbi and Walter Kern, because even though Matt leans left politically, he doesn't inject his political bias into his reporting. He just goes out, looks at all the facts, reports on the facts. He did an outstanding job in the Twitter files. And then that Plaskett gal called him a so-called journalist, the one who was getting text messages from Jeffrey Epstein during a House congressional hearing. Had it called Matt Taibbi when he was testifying about the Twitter files, called him a so-called journalist. Now, let me see if I can find, because I believe she made let's see. Yeah, well, here's something maybe I can, after these stupid ads. My God. I don't know. I don't want to see this stupidity. Sorry, guys. I'm fighting through all of this, the ads that pop up in the things and everything else. And I'm trying to get to the freaking video. And oh my God. Play it, stupid. No. Sorry, I'm fighting this thing tooth and nail. Let me pull up this video. And this should be her threatening Matt Taibbi after the stupid ads are done. My God. I can't get... I'm going to lose my freaking mind here. You know what? Let me just do the page so it'll go through the ads, and then I can get to the video. I apologize again. I probably should have looked this up on YouTube, so maybe I would have avoided most of the ads, but I get this weird blonde lady telling me about LifeLock. And I just want the audio of the actual thing here. Oh, now we got an ad for a video game. Yay, I love this stuff, guys. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thanks, New York Post. I apologize, folks. It's taking too long, but we're going to get there. I promise you. All right, maybe we'll get here now.
Is that Twitter executives did not distinguish between DHS or CISA and this group EIP. For instance, we would see a communication that said, from CISA escalated by EIP. So they were essentially identical in the eyes of the company. EIP, by its own data, and this is in reference to what you brought up, Mr. Congressman, according to their own data, they significantly targeted more what they call disinformation on the right than on the left by a factor, I think, of about 10 to 1. And I say that as not a Republican at all. It's just a fact of what we're looking at. So yes, we have come to the realization that this bright line that we imagine that exists between, say, the FBI or the DHS or the GEC and these private companies is illusory, and that what's more important is this constellation of kind of quasi-private organizations that do this work.
Okay, well, that was stupid because I thought it was going to be her talking about, trying to tell him, so you know what we'll just do? We'll go to YouTube and we'll look up Stacey Plaskett and Matt Taibbi, and maybe we'll get something better here. Matt Taibbi. All right, let me see what I get here. Let's see. Yeah, is it actually going to play? Oh, let's see. This let me pull up this one and let me see if this is it.
The Twitter files, Mr. Taibbi, you've produced only 338 of those 100,000 emails. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And then who gave you access to these emails? Who was the individual that gave you permission to access the emails?
Well, the attribution from my story is sources at Twitter, and that's what I'm going to refer to.
Okay. Did Mr. Musk contact you, Mr. Taibbi?
Again, the attribution from my story is sources at Twitter.
Mr. Schellenberger, did Mr. Musk contact you?
Actually, no. I was brought in by my friend Barry Weiss, and so this story, there's been a lot of misinformation.
So Mr. Weiss brought you in. Mr. Taibbi, Ms. Weiss, thank you. Mr. Taibbi, have you had conversations with Elon Musk?
I have.
Okay. Mr. Taibbi, did Mr. Musk place any conditions on the use of the
Would the gentlelady yield for a second?
as long as my time is not used.
Are you trying to get journalists?
No, I'm not trying to
expose
get.
their
No,
sources?
I'm not.
Well, it
I am
sure sounds
asking.
like it.
No, well, if you will let me finish, are you?
Chair now recognize the gentlelady from Wyoming for 5 minutes. Would the gentlelady yield for 20 seconds?
Yes.
I thank the gentlelady for yielding. I just think this is interesting. First, the FTC is asking for your background, and now the ranking member of the Committee on the Weaponization of Government is asking for your sources.
All right, I'll stop there. But yeah, that's the kind of person she is. She didn't want, she was trying to play, oh, well, it's Elon Musk and he hates everyone and he's a billionaire, so we have to soil your name. We have to degrade your name. She did threaten him with prison time, fines. I believe one of the days that Matt Taibbi was testifying in that hearing, that an IRS auditor showed up at his house. So why should we take anything that Judy Plaskett says or Stacey Plaskett, anything she says seriously? Again, so she wants to threaten a journalist, a good journalist. Matt Taibbi, I would say, is one of the top journalists in this country. So she wants to slander him, threaten him with jail time, threaten him with fines, call him a so-called journalist. And she's also taking her cues from Jeffrey Epstein. Now, did she have anything to do with pedophile rings? No clue. I have no idea. But I think the people should vote her out. I think they should railroad her out of office when she's up for re-election. Will that happen? Probably not, because they're going to think she's some kind of hero. And she'll weasel her way out of it more than likely. But these are the kinds of people, right? They want to play these little political games. And if you're on the other side of the political aisle, we'll smear you, we'll slander you, we'll do everything we can to denigrate you, deplatform you, whatever. but they'll also be eerily silent about the Epstein files until so much pressure is brought upon them. They don't want to answer the question on why did you vote no? And it's going to be one of these that once they release them, it's going to be one side's better than the other, and both sides of the aisle are going to play this game for the most part. A few may not. I'm going to say for the majority, they're going to use this as some kind of campaign thing. Like, we weren't the worst party for pedophilia and Jeffrey. That was the Republicans, or the Republicans are going to say that about the Democrats. So it'll be interesting campaign commercials if they use this stuff. I'm sure some of them will. So it's just, God dang, man. I just wish people, I hope one day people will wake up to how god awful their government is and just fire them all. Protect Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, maybe even MTG can stick around. For the most part, just shit can them all. Just tell them to go take a freaking hike. Why people haven't lost complete faith in these government officials is just, it's just mind-blowing. How it boggles the mind. It makes me like almost twitch, like I've done an 8-ball or something, that these awful people, there's so many contradicting things here. Like, these people, the Senate gets really upset because someone might have spied on them. Like, oh, you, the same people who continually vote for the Patriot Act and all these other things that continually spy on American citizens, and now you're going to get upset that maybe someone's spying on you. Oh, well, that's really rich, right? These same people, they want to, no accountability. And when something like this comes along, it's going to turn into a two-ring circus, the Democrats and the Republicans battling it out. And, maybe there'll be some sacrificial lambs in this. Maybe a few low-level people will lose their job, and hell, they'll probably still get a paycheck and everything. They just have to take the hit, right? They just have to take one for the team, and they'll probably be promised something else, some other job somewhere out of the limelight, and it'll just all be swept under the rug. Hell, maybe even a couple people like go to jail. But it's not the people, it won't be the most deserving. It won't be the people with the most to lose, the most power and money to lose. It won't be them. It'll be some Joe Schmo you've never heard of before. And maybe he'll take one for the team. And if they would go to prison, they'll go to a country club federal prison where life will not be hard for them at all. And they'll probably get a bunch of amenities while they're there. And they'll serve their time, they'll get out, and they'll probably slide their way right back into some political kind of job because they were a good little boy or girl and took one for the team. But they won't suffer like they should. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm about sick and tired of people who break the law or will act unconstitutionally and bring much unneeded suffering and tyranny to the rest of the American people and don't suffer the consequences for it. Now, partly that is the fault of a lot of American voters who don't think about what they're doing and just vote because at least it's not the other guy. But where has that got us now, right? It's got us to where apparently a lot of them were being, it's seemingly, again, I can't prove this. It looks like there's a whole lot of people in DC who've been blackmailed to act a certain way, or they will be outed and they'll lose all the glory, right? They'll lose everything they had. There's another thing Because in the Epstein files, right, you had people like Stephen Hawking and some actors and actresses and all this stuff, all these names, right? And the flight logs and everything. And it makes you wonder, do these people do something, again, submit themselves to Epstein so that they would be held at the highest levels in whatever career, science, the arts, politics, economics, whatever? Did they submit themselves to something just so they could get to that level? Right? Well, there's something about them that made them a little special, but they just weren't quite good enough to get that top job. So they submit themselves to a person or persons, and they get that top job. And as long as they don't go rogue, they're going to keep that top job. As long as they keep their mouth shut and do the deeds, they'll be fine. They just can't out anybody. They can't talk about this stuff, but they just have to submit themselves. And then they'll be held to the highest platforms, and they'll be put on the highest pedestals for all us Joe Blows out here to worship and just wonder in their grandeur of how awesome of people they are. It just makes you wonder, right? Like, what is going on behind the scenes to where, I mean, all the names on the Epstein flight log, none of these people have really suffered. Tom Hanks. And nothing's happened to them. People who are highly thought of. And again, all walks of life, science, arts, politics, economics, doesn't matter what, music maybe. Nothing's happening to them. And we all understand Jeffrey Epstein was not a good guy. Why were you on his plane so much? Why were you hanging out with the guy so much? Was it so you could be considered the best, even though maybe you weren't? Is it to get that higher position in the halls of power? Because you just couldn't stand being down one notch? You wanted to be like everybody else? You wanted to be like those guys up top, willing to sacrifice your own soul to some god-awful people so you could be just like the rest of them? And what does that say about people who will give over everything just to be there? I mean, is it really worth it in the end? Let's just say you have to just submit yourself to Epstein types and intelligence agency types, and then you're promised your political career will just continue to get better, and you'll get these high-ranking jobs, and as long as you play good for the team, we'll promise you we'll take care of you, and you'll just keep climbing the ladder. How much is too much? How much sacrificing of yourself are you willing to do to gain these positions? Are you just a psychopath? Are you so narcissistic you think everyone else is beneath you and you will do anything, step on anyone, or do god awful things just to get yourself to a higher position, higher pinnacle? Or get to the pinnacle of power? Is that what you're willing to do? And my thought is you aren't much of a human being. I mean, you're kind of a piece of shit. Right? You're not someone I would want to look up to or vote for or elect or any, if you start out here, I don't want you working your way up. I want you gone. I want you out. I want you floundering around, flailing and begging for forgiveness. That's what I want. But we're not seeing that. We're just seeing people leave, they'll resign, and no one's really doesn't seem to be following. Well, what happened? What are they going to do now? It's just, he resigned over some Epstein files. And I don't know, he just resigned over some Epstein files. Now he's gone. Oh, weird. Huh, that's odd. You're going to follow him around and ask him what's the deal? What are we doing here? No, nope. He quit his job. on to other things. So yeah, it makes me again, I'm glad that Thomas Massey put forth this bill and got the signatures. We should protect Thomas Massey with all our might. And I really hope that guy, I really wish he would run for president. I don't know that he will. I really wish he would. I would donate a lot of money to a Thomas Massey presidential campaign. A lot. And I would do whatever I could to help that guy. Right. Now, again, would they ever let a Thomas Massey win? That's another question, right? We saw what happened to Ron Paul in 2012. They changed the rules right before the whole RNC thing started because he had a lot of delegates. They saw the writing on the wall and they just handed it over to Massey. Now, the funny thing about that is excuse me, Ron Paul told them that was going to backfire. And in 2016, it did because they didn't want Trump and Trump got it anyway. So 4 years later, it backfired right in their face. But these people just, again, they're hell-bent on retaining their power. That's all they care about. It's all they want. They don't care about us. And they'd rather either protect a pedophile or be quiet and go on and hope that nothing ever happens about it. And again, I don't see the top high rollers, the top people in this whole seemingly intelligence blackmail scheme ever. Nothing is going to happen to them. Nothing bad. Excuse me. Nothing of any consequence will happen to them. They're just going to keep on doing what they do. And that should make everyone sick to their stomach. But again, anybody that runs across this video, I would ask that you do not lose sight of what is important. And that is the truth, of course. Don't get tied up in political party banter. Don't fall in this trap of like pointing fingers at one party or the other. You must demand the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But God, man, wouldn't it be great to see some of these people just take a hard fall? Just take a little bit of a beating. Just beat up in the public eye. Be found guilty in the court of public opinion, to where no one trusts them. No one wants them around anymore, and they're just defeated. And again, they just lose everything they have. That's what I want. That's my hope. Is that they get the shit knocked out of them. Like politically, they just get kicked down the ladder, all the way down to the bottom. And then someone cuts off all the rungs and they can't climb up again. That's all I ask for. Again, folks, this is a random. I know this is kind of a random stream that I did tonight. Just wanted to kind of vent a little bit, give a few of my thoughts on this whole thing that's seemingly turning into like, I don't know, folks. It seems like it's a psyop. It seems like a psyop a little bit. It seems like too many people are going to get wound up and tangled up in this finger pointing. It was the other party, my guy good, your guy bad thing. And they're going to lose sight of what is the most important, and that is the truth. But with that, I will end the stream now. Thanks to those of you who came in and joined me for a little while this evening. Again, I just wanted to come on here and rant about my thoughts on this. And I appreciate all of you who watch. Don't forget on Tuesday nights, myself and Brandon Doherty do the Missouri Liberty Report at 6:30 p.m. every Tuesday night. We rarely take a week off. But we'll be back next Tuesday with, I'm sure, a lot of thoughts on this and many other things. But we do cover Missouri politics. We cover national news. We just international news. We just do a lot of everything. We don't just focus on the national or the state of Missouri. We focus on a little bit of everything. But that being said, I hope you all have a great weekend, and I hope you'll come back Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time for another edition of the Missouri Liberty